What's up, everyone, and welcome to Friday's edition of Reptile News. Now, I got to talk about something first of all today that I really just don't want to talk about, but it is kind of news, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. So we're going to start off with the news story, and then we're going to move on to my feelings about the whole thing. Now, a baby python that was captured on video being stolen from a pet store has been recovered. That's the story, basically. The woman stole the python, and authorities somehow or another figured out where she lived and went to her house where she was detained, and the python was turned over to authorities. So the one thing that, I'm trying to, and I spoke about this in a comment just the other day, I'm trying to do a more positive spin on things around here, and it's really difficult when a lot of what you talk about is negative. It's really difficult to put a positive spin on things, but that's what I'm trying to do, and unfortunately today this positive spin is going to greatly fail, because I'm going to read something right from this news story here, if I can find it. So this is a quote, and I'm not gonna give any names or anything, but I am gonna say that, okay, in this quote it says, a lot of guys pour their heart and soul into caring for these animals, and someone comes up and just rips it out. It hurts. This particular person, again, you can read the article if you want names, I'm not gonna mention them here, was concerned about the snake's welfare, and I am going to mention a business name. The snake was stolen from LLL Reptile, and I want to go into a little bit of a story, and I hope we don't go on too long, because I got more news stories to talk about, but I might just waste this whole video with this story. So I've been buying snakes from LLL Reptile for years now. Every year I go to the show, I buy something from them, and for the longest time I just always had terrible luck, and I mean everything I would buy would die. Let's be honest, it would die, and under weird circumstances, and I would always beat myself up over it and sit here and think, I've been raising snakes for more than 20 years. How can this happen? How can this happen? And then I started to put one and one together, and I started to realize, and I'll get into why, but I started to realize I'm sure there's many people with LLO Reptile that care greatly about this hobby and the animals, but I haven't met one yet. When I go to the show, the people there seem to know what they're talking about and what they're doing, but my latest interaction with them was buying, I don't even remember the morph it was. It was a morph, not a very expensive one, but it was a morph of a ball python that I purchased at the show, and literally within hours of getting home it died. And again, I'm beating myself up over this, and I come to the realization that there is nothing I could have done to cause this. I could have left this animal in the hot car out in the sun for that amount of time, and it shouldn't have died. So I was a little perturbed, and it was the only time, because I always thought that I was doing something wrong. I always thought I was doing something wrong, and I couldn't figure out how. But this is the one time where I thought there's absolutely nothing that I could have done wrong to make the snake die. So I had contacted them, and I figured, you know what, there maybe things happen sometimes. So they got back a hold of me, and I mean, the person, I'm going to be honest with you, the person that got a hold of me seemed like they half-assed cared. It was a pretty lame act, I guess, but they offered me 10% off a new snake if I drove to their store with the dead one. No, absolutely not. The only good outcome for me with that would be A, 100% of my money back I paid for that snake just hours prior, or B, give me a new snake. But I got to really thinking about it and realized that nothing really could have changed the future for me in that particular business. I have not patronized their table at the shows ever since, and I have no intention to ever doing it again, regardless of what takes place in the future here. So anyway, I wanted to put that out there because I was a little confused about how much they sounded, and I just can't get it out of my head how much they sounded like they cared about the animals in this article, but very clearly about the one that I contacted them about didn't care about it or the customer that paid for it. So I will leave the question up to you. I've heard success stories with this vendor. I have. I'm not gonna lie. I've heard success stories, but I've also heard a lot of horror stories that were right in line with what I experienced. So I'll leave the question to you. What do you think? Leave a comment down in the comments down below. Let me know if you had a good experience, bad experience, you don't know them, never used them. Let's get a conversation going about it. And now we're going to move on to our great state of Florida, where they never seem to disappoint disappoint when it comes to just the most moronic news in the world. I hate all these stories today because they're all of a negative thing. And hey, if you guys have an idea of how to make things more positive around here, then let me know in those comments down below, because I would really like to do that. It's really the direction that I want to take this show, way more positive. We're always going to be talking about negative stuff. It's what we do. I mean, positive stuff rarely ever makes the news, but I would like to change that. So leave a comment down below if you can think of a positive spin we could put on stuff. But back to Florida. So authorities had pulled over a pickup truck, and apparently the reason they pulled over this pickup truck is because their suspect was standing in the back of it while it was moving down the freeway. And while the truck's driver eventually gave permission to the deputy to search the truck, he found a live alligator in the cooler. Now apparently Christopher Lacey, 28 years old, was taken into custody, and the alligator was turned over to the Fish and Wildlife Service, where it was released properly. He did admit to finding the alligator in a ditch, and you know, maybe it's because I'm not from a place where alligators just roam wild, but the last thing I could think of doing would be to grab an alligator out of a ditch and put it in an ice chest in my truck. I couldn't. I mean, maybe it's because I know about reptiles and know that I just, alligators are over my head. I mean, this is eventually going to get to be a very big, very dangerous animal, and I'm just willing to bet, I don't want to stereotype, but I'm just willing to bet that some sort of illicit substance probably had something to do with this decision. And you know, guys, honestly, I had a couple more to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and leave those links in the description on the website, but we're just running out of time today. We are 9 minutes into this already. I think I maybe got carried away with that first story. So that, my friends, is all your news for this Friday. If you'd like to read any more about these stories, those links are right down below here in the description. And as always, if you're still watching, my name is Jason White. Now you know what's going on in the reptile world. Have an absolutely amazing weekend, and we'll see you Monday.